Breaking news, President Trump's inaugural committee facing a subpoena for documents from federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York. A source telling me moments ago that they are ready to comply. And I'm told that one area of interest for the Southern District of New York appears to be whether donors paid vendors directly for anything related to the inauguration. Up front now, Harry Sandick, former assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, Laura Coates, former federal prosecutor, and David Gergen, former advisor to 4 presidents. Harry, here's what I know. It's a subpoena. They're waiting for it. Yep. It's for documents. And we know that some of this is related to who may have paid for services.
That makes total sense. If I were conducting this investigation, I would be interested to know whether any payments were made by foreign businesses or foreign individuals, and whether the idea of having the payments made directly by these outside people was a way of essentially trying to skirt the reporting requirements that exist, that the committee has to keep track of who its donors are. Some people aren't allowed to make donations, such as foreign individuals and businesses, and maybe this was a way around it. That's what a prosecutor's probably wondering about.
Right. I mean, because, Laura, obviously, just to make the point clear, right, foreign donors are not allowed to be doing this. So if it happened, that would be a violation. What's the significance, Absolutely. Laura, of the fact that this is a subpoena now? I mean, that they're not, that it's gotten to that point.
Well, the subpoena, of course, remember one of the biggest powerful things of a grand jury is that there is an ongoing investigation and they have rights to actually get documents. It's not a request. It's not one that just says, if you feel like providing it to us, could you maybe do so? It's a demand, and it's backed by the federal court through the grand jury process. And so there is reason to believe, in order to get the subpoena, that there is information out there that may be likened to a crime. And so they're exercising their right under the grand jury subpoena power to get documents and anything else that may follow. It also tells you that there is an arm other than the Mueller probe who's looking at documentation related to donations for the inaugural committee and the Trump campaign into the inauguration. This is very big news.
And David Gergen, this also, we know the inaugural committee, right, it raised an eye-raising and historically unprecedented figure, right, of $100 million. This is coming out of the Southern District of New York, as Laura points out, separate from Bob Mueller. But the Southern District of New York is, of course, also Michael Cohen. What's the significance of that, David?
Well, I think we've been assuming, perhaps wrongly, but many assume that the Mueller report's going to come in within the month. And that basically is going to begin to end it. And what this says is, no. Even as Mueller closes up, there's another front opening. And for Donald Trump, that means he may be mired in this kind of thing for the rest of his first term. This may be a constant headache for him, and it's going to be a subject of intensive reporting.
So let me ask you, Harry, because according to ProPublica, Rick Gates, which was the deputy to the chairman of the inaugural committee, the chairman, of course, was Tom Barrack. According to ProPublica, they're citing 2 sources saying that some vendors, Rick Gates asked a couple of vendors, hey, can you just take a payment directly from a donor rather than through the committee? Okay, that would be deeply concerning. But that's the reporting that Rick Gates asked them to do this. Let's just talk about the significance of that. Yep. If that happened, is there any way that the inaugural committee, more broadly, wouldn't have known about it if Rick Gates was hypothetically acting completely on his own?
It's hard to imagine that, because an invoice comes in for a block of hotel rooms, let's say, and the inaugural committee is going to have to pay for that unless somebody else pays for it. And if the invoice just gets paid, how could the committee not have known? Is there some sort of guardian angel who's paying invoices for people? That doesn't happen to my bills, and I'm guessing it doesn't happen to the inaugural committee either. They must know who's paying for this. And all the pieces are coming together. The grand jury subpoena, the existence of witness testimony to explain what's happening. And so, as David just said, the Southern District investigation isn't ending anytime soon.
And what else do you think they could be looking at, Laura? As I said, obviously, that's one thing that I am told is in here, but there obviously is likely to be much more that the Southern District is requesting in this subpoena.
They're going to compare and contrast, essentially, who were the people who were integral in the campaign and who were there to actually see the end result of the campaign. It's an interesting dynamic, because you want to essentially see people who are getting the output of all of their riches. So they're going to compare and figure out if there's anything that somebody who was an investor in the campaign initially, are there foreign nationals who were providing money prior to the inauguration who then got to receive their just dessert at the end of it? What I find most fascinating about this, Aaron, are are the kind of cases that Robert Mueller is farming out. Two separate occasions, when it deals with campaign contributions, Mueller has shown he is not interested to the degree of collusion. He has farmed back to the Southern District of New York. He's farmed back Michael Cohen about the campaign contributions related to Stormy Daniels and any other payments, Karen McDougal. He has farmed back to the SDNY, similarly, issues about foreign donations of campaign contributions. I find that really remarkable given the fact that his mandate includes figuring out essentially how to follow the money. So if he's not interested in that particular aspect of it, I wonder what he's truly honed in on. And it also could be that he was anticipating that at some point his tenure would end and he had to make these systems automated by being able to funnel out the exact matter of his mandate.
You know, there's also been reporting, of course, Harry, that, Ivanka Trump herself was involved in email exchanges with some of the hotels and Stephanie Grisham, who was, people who were involved with planning this.
Mm-hmm.
And that Ivanka Trump herself was involved in, well, how much should this cost or how much should this pay? So this is, if you talk about the inaugural committee, it involved the Trump family, just to be clear, right?
Absolutely. The Trump family, his closest advisors, they planned this event, and there are going to be emails, text messages, witness testimony, it seems, maybe from Gates, to help put it all together. It sounds as if the Southern District's Public Corruption Unit, which I think is handling these subpoenas, believes that they may be onto something, and they're going to just follow it where it leads.
David, just to put the exclamation point here on the amount of money we're talking about, right? I mean, again, $100 million raised for an inauguration. That is an unprecedented figure, just to begin with.
Yes. I think it may be double or more of what Barack Obama raised. And there are these continuing questions about, okay, where did all this money go? Did people in the Trump organization or the family make any money out of this? And who paid? Were foreigners paying? I do think of one note of caution, Aaron, and that is Tom Barrack, who ran the inaugural committee, is in many circles one of the most respected people around Donald Trump.
Yes.
I know the president wanted him to come into the government, but it's hard to see him sitting over this some sort of piggy bank and being contented and letting it go. I just don't think that's not his personality. That's not his reputation.